Whoa, we're starting already? Step to the left, no to the right. Oh, now back. How are they lunging like that? Turn around? How did I let Jen convince me to come here? Wait, now do what? How are they doing that? You know what? I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing in this class and have fun.
Fearless is being the only newbie in class. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits, tools, and wellness programs at fepblue.org/getactive.
In spite of our mechanical magnificence,
up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane!
Todd Vandenberg.
They're with him under the hat.
Guess who's coming to dinner?
And Rob Steele.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain!
As you can imagine, they don't let us out much.
All my filters in alphabetical order. This, for example, was under H for toy.
Movie reviews.
So you're here to save the world.
Movie news.
Dad! Tom Cruise won't come out of the closet.
And the occasional rumor or TV news.
I object to all this sex on the television. I mean, I keep falling off.
Oh, that's not right.
God, I love my work.
And to make a long story short, one by one you all arrived.
We're back with more moving news and very little TV in the way this week. But, that's okay. It's called Cinema Savants. We're supposed to do movies. He is Todd Vandenberg. I am Robert Redford, but only for 2 more movies. After that, I announced earlier this week that I will be retiring. Just kind of on the one hand, bad news because Robert Redford's a spectacular actor. And on the other news, he's 80. I think he's allowed.
He is allowed. He needs to... it's a shame they killed him off in the Marvel Universe. Spoiler alert if you didn't see that one, so there you go. But he was fun in that.
You kind of saw it coming.
Yeah.
No, I got thrown off recently because I went back and watched every single Perry Mason episode over the course of like a year and a half. I say recently.
I was going to say, that took a while.
It took a while. Yeah, that took a while. But in season 1, Robert Redford was on a Perry Mason episode, and I think he was like 18. I
don't doubt it.
Really, really young.
He did a lot of TV. He's on one of the better-known Twilight Zone episodes. He plays a cop who gets shot. I vaguely remember the Perry Mason episode. That was one of my favorite shows when I was growing up. Yes, I'm old. And for some reason, I was a kid that watched Perry Mason. It's like my idol was a fat lawyer, so go figure. So,
hey, he was
great show,
in the
though.
TV series. The original TV series.
I don't know if you can say skinny. Skinny-ish.
Where he turned into, Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah, for Raymond Burr, he was skinny-ish. That's quite true. He could still rock the 48. Not tall, just a 48 probably is what he was rocking. Della liked him.
Well, yeah, because
Della gave him the look.
Script.
Yeah, that's true. That's probably the only reason why.
And I think this is all of our TV news. No, I'm kidding. We've got something coming up later, but where do we want to start? We've got a number of movies that I think, you watched something that I haven't watched. I watched something you haven't. Then we both watched Kubo, which is not a Pokemon.
Actually, why don't we start with, if you're prepared, why don't we go back to Alice, since that was on the slate a while back,
Alice.
and we never got back to it. So that's a totally different movie.
Through the Looking Glass. Yes. Okay. The way I'm going to describe this, I'm going to take you to a completely different set of movies, although done by the same director. We're going to go back to 1989 to a little film called Batman, which was done by Tim Burton, who a lot of people didn't know yet. And we watched the Batman movie, and it was a good movie. We're going to put all the Batman stuff aside. It was actually a good movie, and it made enough money to spawn a sequel, Batman 2 or Returns or whatever it was called, where it became, to me anyway, less of a good movie and more of a Tim Burton movie, where it just had...
I agree.
It was weird.
You got the weird camp elements that he likes.
It is. The way I best described it, and this hit me the other day, Batman, the first Tim Burton Batman movie, was like watching a car, a nice sports car, drive through the mountains, and you watch it and you think, that's very pretty. I really like it. It is very nice. It is good. It is relaxing. Batman 2, they set the car on fire and drive it off a cliff. Now, it's still a very pretty car. It's very interesting to watch, but you're watching it for different reasons and with some apprehension to it. Because, I mean, in the first one you had the Joker, and the Joker made sense. In the second one, you have the Danny DeVito's Penguin, which you kind of looked at and went, he's eating raw fish off a bone, and he's in his underwear for most of the movie. Mm-hmm. What's up with? I don't get that part. That's the way Alice Through the Looking Glass is to the original Alice in Wonderland, and I say original, the first Tim Burton one.
But before you go any further, though, I do have one question for you with the Batman analogy. If Batman Returns was the car going off a cliff and burning, what exactly was Batman and Robin? I mean, did it just become a singularity?
The car crashed, all the bodies are burned, mostly beyond recognition, and vultures are now pecking at them.
I'm thinking
that one
more
you just kind of look at and go, yeah, okay. It's
just an implosion. It's a black hole. It just destroys the universe, and there's nothing left. Anyway, on to Alice Through the Looking Glass.
First note, there is not enough Alan Rickman. But, that... Right. There's a reason for that, and it's depressing, and I'm not going to go there anymore. A lot of the movie has to do, strangely, with time travel. Who knew? Because I haven't read the book. Where the Mad Hatter finds out that his family may or may not still be alive. So he goes on a quest for them, but in order to get through the quest, we have to go back in time and find out what happened to them in the first place. So really, Alice Through the Looking Glass is an origin story for frickin' everybody.
That's not in the book. It's been a while since I read it, but I guarantee you that ain't in the book. That was. Let's give Johnny Depp more to do.
Yeah. Wow. You get the Hatter's origin. We get the origin of both queens. We get why the Red Queen's head is so freakishly huge. There's some beautiful visuals in it, but it's really just a lot of origin story. And the way I'm going to look at it is, the first movie I can watch multiple times and get more out of it each time and go, I really like this movie. Because I did. I really liked the new version of Alice in Wonderland. But I'm looking at Alice Through the Looking Glass and thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to watch this again. Wow. There were parts of it that dragged out. It's not a bad sequel. It's just nowhere near as good as the first one, to me. And no, it has nothing to do with Borat being the king of. I think he played the embodiment of time, which he's not someone that I'm particularly interested in anyway. I have yet to find him in any. This is easily the thing that I've liked him in the best, and I don't particularly care for it. It was too much origin story of characters that we already we knew enough of them. We didn't need an origin story. It's let's move forward in this. I remember there being a version of this before where it turned out Alice was really locked in an asylum somewhere, and they did do that in this movie for about 3 minutes before she escaped and made her way back to Wonderland. Yippee-yay-whee. If you like good visuals, this has got some spectacular visuals to it. If you want it to be a good movie, there are other things to see. This would make a good screensaver. That's what we used to call these movies, like when, for those of you who still have screensavers on your computer, Mortal Kombat. The Mortal Kombat movies were good screensavers, as long as you don't have to listen to them or anything.
Don't be dissing Mortal Kombat now. We're going to come to blows.
The first one was okay. The second one was a pure screensaver.
Yeah.
Don't tell me the second one was a good movie.
No, I not even as a joke, I can't do that.
No. Alice Through the Looking Glass, I think was a good screensaver. I'm actually going to recommend watching it the one time. If you enjoy it, hey, good for you.
Right.
I didn't that much. I watched it. I can say I watched it, but frankly, I'm not interested in seeing it again.
And I haven't seen it because the clips alone just didn't look that appealing. But on your recommendation, on your strong recommendation that I need to see this screensaver, I am going to watch it this week. So thank you very much, Rob. You've probably stolen 2 hours of my life.
Use it as a sedative.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're right. Tim Burton, any Tim Burton film is at least interesting to look at. I mean, even Big Eyes, which is a pretty straightforward drama, has its weird elements. So
yeah.
And something like Alice, I mean, it's kind of a property is like, gee, who could we get to do this? It's like, I know the perfect director. And it's a shame that, according to you and to most of humanity, the sequel didn't really pan out. So too bad.
I think it might have done better in the theaters. Didn't it? I'm trying to remember what it came out opposite against.
I don't remember. I think it did. I think it kind of did okay. I mean, nothing. I want to say the first one out around the same
time as Civil War, which is
maybe like a week or two after. It did $77 million, which is terrible. But again, like we were talking about, overseas market did way over 200. So worldwide, just under 300 million. That's plenty of money. So
absolutely,
not like it was a problem. But I mean, and again, we do talk about box office. Again, the reason it's important, at least to me, is because if it does well and it's a good movie, they'll make another similar film. And if it sucks and it's a good movie, if it does poorly at the box office and it's a good movie, they're not going to do it again. So you're screwed. So
right.
Yeah, the original though did 334 million domestic, and this one did 77. So that's kind of a drop.
Just a bit.
Yeah,
I think the original did that opening weekend, so that's not the kind of thing you want.
Practically, yeah, that's nuts. Anyway, yeah, and it's a shame there was not more Alan Rickman, and yeah, we know the reason why, and that is very, very, very sad. But not really wasn't that big a role even in Wonderland in the first film. So
no.
Anyway,
but we get to hear his voice just for a little bit, and you kind of go, "Oh, I miss him."
Yeah. What an awesome actor, and what an awesome voice. What a rich voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Shall we move on? Yes. On that note, go ahead. Yes. You were saying?
No, I was just saying. On that note, let's move ahead. Where are we going?
Yeah. How about one that I've seen you haven't seen, of Hell or High Water? Not going to spend a lot of time on it, but that's a fine modern Western directed by a Brit, because the Brits, are taking over everything over here. David Mackenzie.
Well, it's Western. That's what Brits know about is Westerns.
Yeah. But it's really good. It stars Chris Pine, Ben Foster, Jeff Bridges. Jeff Bridges probably will get another frickin' nomination for the Academy Award, and he should be nominated. It's about a couple brothers who decide they need to rob banks to pay a debt, and just how different the two brothers are. And Jeff Bridges is the marshal who is on their trail. He's going to retire soon, and this is just kind of, he wants to clear the decks and get this off. And so it's just kind of this pursuit movie, but it's also a character study between Chris Pine and Ben Foster and their relationship, and at the same time, it's kind of a caper movie, because you're wondering, are they going to get away with the bank robberies and stuff? And it gets kind of violent towards the end, more so than it is earlier. I mean, you'd think bank robbery movies is going to be violent, but it's not early on, and then it gets progressively more violent as it goes along. So
it's
really,
not Quentin
really
Tarantino.
No, it's not a Tarantino level at all. But towards the end, it would kind of fit in with his. Not at the very end. It's not like there's a huge final shoot-up. Spoiler alert: there's not a huge final shoot-up, but there is a lot of gunplay as the movie moves on, which does fit it. But again, really, really good film. You definitely need to watch it. Pine is excellent. Foster's excellent. Jeff Bridges is, he's the dude abides. Not that he plays the dude. That would be kind of cool. The dude is a Texas Marshal, but good.
That would be weird.
That would be very strange.
Is Chris Pine now the movie equivalent of Chris Hardwick?
Perhaps.
We were talking about this before the show about how Chris Hardwick has insinuated himself in everything, and you just mentioned, here's another movie with Chris Pine. Jeez, is there anything he hasn't been in?
Yeah, he's
I'm pretty
been
sure
busy.
he was in Alice Through the Looking Glass somewhere. He played an extra. He's in the upcoming Star Wars movies. He's going to play Neo in the new Matrix movies. He's already in Star Trek. He's going to play Luke Skywalker's third nephew in the next Star Wars movie. Jeez, give roles to other people.
No, because Chris
around.
Evans would take him if it wasn't him. So.
Well, that's true.
A designated
Just
Chris.
a bit ridiculous.
Anyway, now I think we can move on to Kubo and the Two Strings, a film we have both seen. Although not at the same time, probably. Possibly, but not together.
Correctly, it could have been. Like we watched a Doctor Strange movie together, only in different states at the same time, weirdly.
Quite true.
So, Kubo and the Two Strings. I'm going to start off with there's two things that kind of bugged me about this movie. One being, and this is where I have to start with this, the name of the movie. Because in other countries, like in Germany, it's Kubo and Kubo, the Brave Samurai. In Bulgaria, it's Kubo, the Way of the Samurai. In Hungary, it's Kubo, Vastenafterach. Yeah, that one didn't translate, but that's my point. Kubo and the Two Strings, it sounds like a good title, but at no point were there only two strings on his guitar.
But there are two strings that are more important on his instrument. That's why it's the two strings.
I didn't like that though.
I know there are three, but there are two.
And if that's my only problem with the movie,
yeah, that's pretty good. Rob is the designated hater for tonight.
That's
like
me.
The title because there's three strings. Sons of bitches.
There were three strings, and then two of them break. Oh, there's one string left. That Kubo and the two broken strings. No, that doesn't work. I think it would. If you named it Kubo the Brave Samurai like they did in Germany, only do it here, more people would go, oh, it's a samurai movie. I'll go and see that, as opposed to two strings. And you go, he's got a viola and a bass. What? Anyway.
Other than the title, what did you think of the film?
Other than the title, I thought the film was spectacular.
I'm really glad to hear you say that, because I thought so too. It's a beautiful movie.
What threw me off was I actually just thought that it was a computer-generated movie done to look like a stop-motion movie. And it's not until, and this is not a spoiler really, it's not until like the post-credit sequence where you see them building a set, and I kind of went, oh my God, that was stop-motion? And now I can tell it was computer-enhanced. It had to be.
Yes, it is. Right.
But at the same time, holy crap, that was stop-motion? Oh my God.
Yes.
Just on that alone, it's worth going to see. But having the storyline it did, which was, it's very Asian philosophy. But wow, that was probably the most, it was a better visual effects movie to watch than Alice Through the Looking Glass, and I'm going to say this as high praise, the last Star Trek movie, which had some brilliant visuals in it.
I agree.
A lot better to me.
I agree with you, because it's not that computer-generated effects are not an art form. Of course they are, and Star Trek Beyond has terrific effects. But this is a different level of artistic talent, because this is hands-on sculpting and building armatures and stuff. The director is the same guy, Travis Knight. He directed Coraline, Paranorman. Did not see Paranorman, and the Box Trolls, which, again, they are all the hand stop motion things. Box Trolls looks terrific. I mean, I really like the story of Box Trolls. It's a fun movie. It's got a cool message. It's a wonderful kids movie. Kubo looks much better than Box Trolls. It's a different design, And it's such a big story, like you said. It's this big epic myth, and it delves into a lot of elements of Japanese legend. You know, they got witches flying around and interesting
Monkey.
Transformations. Yeah, it's got Monkey and Beetle, which are lead characters and comic relief at the same time, which is interesting to pull that little bit off. Just such a good movie, and it's a shame that a lot of people missed it at the box office. I'm not even going to look up the numbers because I don't care about the numbers. It just didn't do as well as it should have.
Right.
Which, and again, the only reason it matters to me is because Travis Knight needs to keep making movies. This guy is freaking awesome. And next time you see anything that says, from the maker of Box Trolls and Kubo, take your kids to see that freaking movie, because it's going to look spectacular. It's going to have a nice, strong, heartwarming story. There's going to be a nice, feel-good vibe to it. It's going to teach a little bit of lessons without being preachy. I mean, really, gosh, what a good movie. I was so happy to finally have caught Kubo and the two strings.
I am too. It was one of the... Fine, two strings. It's coming out on DVD, not this week. It's coming out Thanksgiving week, and honestly, pick it up. This is one of those movies that you're going to want to watch several times, and it falls to me in a very rare category of movies your kids are going to want to see a lot, but you're not going to mind.
Exactly. Very well said. So it's going to be out the Friday after Thanksgiving.
November 22nd, which I think is the Tuesday before.
Excellent.
Yeah. So you could
perfect time
have your turkey.
Perfect time to pick up. Exactly, because how many people have families together and you got all these kids here, and some people are going to be watching football, and on the other TV, seriously, put Kubo in. Yeah. They'll probably watch it 3 times. You won't hear a peep out of them. Man,
exactly.
Man, what a good movie. What a good movie. And just the level of work. And I knew it was stop motion going into it. But again, stay through the credits, or leave it running if you're watching on and you'll see that reveal that Rob's talking about. And even knowing that it's stop motion, the scale of that particular piece that they're working on blew me away. I had no idea of how large this thing was. It was like, wow, that's incredible. Just what a piece of
if you're wanting to know
art.
The actors in it.
You've
actually got fairly big names. Charlize Theron and Matthew McConaughey are Monkey and Beetle. Ralph Fiennes, one of my favorite actors, Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa.
Yes, he's terrific.
And I think it was great how George Takei got mentioned, even though he only had 2 words.
Maybe.
Of course, we all know what 2 words are. I don't recall that character speaking anything other than "oh my," but
a nice little throw in there. Yeah, a terrific cast, and they do a really good job. And that's one thing that's been impressive for a long time now, that you're getting A-list actors doing voice work, and typically they do A-list work. I mean, they put everything into it. I mean, it's been a long time. I can't say it started with Disney, but I would say Disney maybe was one of the first companies that did this when they brought over the Studio Ghibli films like Spirited Away, and they would dub them for the American audiences, and they would get top people to like Gillian Anderson has one of the main roles in Princess Mononoke, and I mean they had, and it's just pretty awesome that you bring in talent like that.
I'm actually going to go back just slightly before the Ghibli takeover and say that it's something that had to. I know this was part of it, and they didn't actually get A-listers; they got like A- listers for Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
Because if you go back to the cast of it, it's not quite, this movie had Matthew McConaughey, so not quite that level, but, Mark Hamill and Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who was a fairly big name. Lori Petty did a voice, and all these other people who basically it's the nominees, but they didn't quite win the Oscar or the Emmy or whatever.
Yeah.
The next level down.
And I'm really glad you said that because saying that A-list actors are doing these films, and it's cool to me, but I don't mean to disparage people who specialize in voice work, and someone whose name really isn't known very well at all, even probably a lot of film geeks like us, although we know it because we're really geeked out. But Andrea Romano, casting director for basically,
director. Oh my God!
Right.
Yes.
The casting director for she is the one who went out and got those voices. Andrea Romano is the reason that most people to this day, when they think of Batman, they hear in their head Kevin Conroy. They hear the Batman from the animated series. I mean, man, what a job she did assembling that voice cast. And still works on casting for their direct-to-DVD releases and stuff. So, man, that's just it's a shame that she's. I mean, it's casting directors. How often do they get props? But man, alive! I mean, how critical is she to the success of their animated stuff and their directors too, of course.
Oh yeah. And while we're doing voice actors, can I throw a shout out to Christopher Sabat, who has done just some of my favorite voices in everything. He's done from Wolverine to Vegeta. You know, I think there's, and if you don't know, Vegeta, the Dragon Ball character. He's just done so much stuff, and I just love the idea of voice acting. I even do it on some of my shows. Okay, the one show, but you know,
and do it quite well.
I'm working on it. I'm not going to say I do it well yet.
I'll say it for you.
There are some voices where I've listened back to it and gone, oh, did I screw that up? But anyway, we digress. Meanwhile, back at Kubo, if you have the opportunity to pick up Kubo, take it home to the family, and you know what? Yeah. Before the football starts, put it on for the kids, and Dad might even sit down and go, you know what, this is cool, and forget that the football game is on.
Yeah, seriously.
See? Yeah, seriously. Yeah, it's that good a movie.
Really is. I agree. I completely agree.
Conversely, look, it's a segue. 2 wheels and lots of gyroscopes. I saw a trailer. I got to throw this out because I've actually been complaining about this movie already for a while, and it's not even going to be out until it's not going to be out until last year. It's not going to be out until next year. That's how bad it screwed me up because they've gotten so much wrong in the trailer. The Ghost in the Shell movie. Mm-hmm. I love the Ghost in the Shell series. I have the manga. I have the movies. I have the TV series. I have seen the trailer, and no. One of the first things I saw was a description of the movie where Scarlett Johansson plays a character called the Major. Wrong. Mm-hmm. She is a major. Her name is Motoko Kusanagi. Why is she not called Motoko Kusanagi? Because Scarlett Johansson is not Asian. Just a thought. I'm just spitballing here, but I think that might be it. In the trailer, she says, the Major calling, and this, and I'm doing this. I'm like, no, she never refers to herself that way in the series. They also describe her as being a human-cyborg hybrid. No. Cyborgs are a human-machine hybrid. You cannot have a human-human-machine hybrid.
Hey, how you doing?
Doesn't make sense. Damn it. Anyway, that's not the point. She's actually... Did I get lost again? Oh, look, we have a caller. We'll get to you in a minute. We do have a caller. It's not a human-cyborg hybrid in the books. It's a military-grade prosthetic body. There's a quote at the bottom of this from on one of the message boards. A guy claims to have seen a very advanced copy and says it's spot on with the manga, although I can tell from the trailer it's not. And the manga was not spot on with the movie or the TV series. They are actually 3 completely separate universes. If you want example, apparently Bato's eyes, which is something you can look up, it's a visual thing, they are attached. Those are his eyes. But not in the movie. Apparently they're removable. No, that's wrong.
Mine are.
The 2 other things, I'm going to get through these real quick. They claim, in the trailer, Scarlett Johansson wears the thermoptic camouflage outfit through the whole thing. Now, I'm going to phrase this, and people are going to say, ooh, that's sexist and horrible. But bear with me. She has the ass for it. She does. It looks spectacular in this outfit, but she doesn't wear it through the whole series. It's just a special occasion thing. She has other clothes. Let her put them on. And this is the last thing, which makes me kind of go almost interested in seeing it. It's the background music through the trailer, which is really weird. And this actually started to have it make sense to me. The background music is yet another cover of Depeche Mode's Enjoy the Silence, which is a good song and has been covered by, I think my favorite version of it is actually done by Linkin Park, which you would think, what, really? Linkin Park doing a Depeche Mode song? But it works.
I can see it working.
And that made me realize that this movie is not a reboot of the anime or the TV series or the manga. It's not a remake. It's not a reimaging. It's a cover song. So it's going to be different than everything else. So I can't, at that point I realized, no, it's not going to be what I want it to be. It might still be worth watching. I am still going to watch it. Flip, I don't like it already because there's 3 separate establishments of this series, and it's not following any of them.
Now there's going to be 4.
Anyway, I think that was a bigger review on just this trailer than I did through Alice. Meanwhile,
shall we speak to our caller?
Sure, why not? From the 646 area code, wherever that is. I don't know where that is.
I don't either.
Should we unmute the mic?
Hello, caller. Please identify yourself. Unless you really don't want to. Maybe they just want to listen.
And listening is fine.
Listening
is somewhere in Manhattan, so I'm guessing it's Ted, and he hasn't figured out how to turn his mic on.
Yeah,
but that's okay.
Probably Ted. Yeah. Ted, if it's you, hang up and go away. I don't respect your opinion. I never have. And if it's not Ted.
But I love you, Ted, so you can stay if you want to.
Ted, continue to listen while you're preparing for your own live show at 7 o'clock, or unless you're actually working right now, which I don't think you are. But anyway, we'll just let Ted listen. Back on mute, Ted.
Sure, why not?
Anyway, so you're telling me you're not really thrilled about Ghost in the Shell.
No.
I've not seen the trailer, and yeah, there was such a shitstorm that launched when they announced Scarlett Johansson, and rightly so. I mean, I think she's a terrific actress. She does a great job. She obviously likes the genre, but yeah, it's not quite.
They could have actually taken her and just done a Black Widow movie. It would have been
imagine
close
that.
Enough.
Because not like she hasn't played that character 80 million times without a solo shot. Speaking of solo shots, hey, I made a segue. I feel proud. And our caller dropped off. Ted, call back. Tom Holland, the new Spider-Man, and for my money, the best Spider-Man on screen, he signed a contract for 6 films. For some reason, he described it as, yes, he has a contract for 6 films. He's doing 6 films, 3 solo movies, and 3 Spider-Man movies. So I don't know.
What?
Yeah, that's what he said. And I read it. I had to look at that, and it's like, so you're playing Spider-Man in 3 movies, and you're playing Tom Holland in 3 movies? What do you mean? So, obviously, I'm sure he means it's 3 solo Spider-Man flicks and then 3 additional appearances.
Right.
The more interesting thing that came out about it, and I don't know if you saw this, but there was a story that reportedly Spider-Man will not throw a single punch in Spider-Man Homecoming, which, of course, is the new solo film. And the Vulture is the main villain, and Michael Keaton is playing the Vulture, and that's totally got me stoked because Michael Keaton rocks. But a lot of fandom is really upset, saying they cannot believe Spider-Man's not going to throw a punch. How terrible is this? And it evolved into all this stuff about how strong he is. And, well, he can't really throw those punches because he would kill someone. And, well, that's why he pulls his punches. And, it just got into this utter dweeb firestorm of talking about, well, how strong is Spider-Man? And look at his abilities, blah, blah, blah. And it's like completely ignoring that we're, again, as you said with Ghost in the Shell, we're in a different universe. Yes, it's based on the comics. And if you're really going to be worried about the fact he doesn't throw a punch because he's too strong and he might kill somebody if he punches them, it's like, okay, calm the fuck down. Just enjoy it, would you?
I'm going to throw this into that. Do you think it's possible that the reason he doesn't throw a punch at the Vulture is because Vulture flies and it's kind of out of the reach of his arm?
Well, the reason he doesn't throw a punch that they gave the studio and Tom Holland is because they want this to appeal more to, well, it's obviously going to appeal to kids, but they kind of want to make him a role model for kids, which is kind of strange because there's going to be a lot of city destruction because, it's a Marvel movie. But there are ways to win without throwing a punch. Personally, I think that's brilliant. Any superhero can throw a punch. I think it's really clever to have Spider-Man figure out a way to win because punches are sometimes they're not effective in movies and in real life. We talked about Doctor Strange and the brilliant way he defeated the main villain, which was very different from what you see in almost any Superman movie, so a superhero movie. Definitely different from a Superman movie because all he ever does is punch. He's got all these incredible abilities, and I'll just knock the crap out of somebody until they're dead. Now in the new version. But I think that's very smart to accentuate the differences instead of just, I'm going to punch my way out of this like every other freaking hero on the planet. I think is very cool. Now, I'm sure he's not going to go through the entire thing.
I suspect
I imagine
webbing
there will
will
be some webbing. I imagine there will be some webbing involved, considering that like Captain America and Iron Man and Thor and Hulk and, those guys don't have web shooters. So probably there's going to be a little bit of webbing and some web slinging and some cool shots going through the skyscraper chasing Michael Keaton. So I really just hope that Michael Keaton actually, it's not the Vulture, it's Birdman. That would be really cool. He's this washed up Broadway actor, and it's like, oh my God, I would pay twice to see that. Spider-Man versus Birdman. Anyway.
I have to admit, I have not caught Birdman yet.
Oh, my God.
I know. I keep meaning to, and I keep forgetting.
Fun weird.
Just out of curiosity, it's not Birdman as in like, and I'm going to have to go with Harvey Birdman from the...
No, it's not.
Okay. I'm just making sure it was...
He is not an attorney at law.
I never saw anything that's differentiated between the Birdman from Space Ghost and Michael Keaton.
That is, we could do a special episode on Space Ghost Coast to Coast. God, I missed that show. Oh, God. Anyway.
You had to bring that up. The guy who did the voices for Zorak and the other one.
Yep. Speaking of voice, Moltar, what, 3 weeks ago? Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah. It was on my notes for the show, and, well, we missed it, but that's okay. Meanwhile, in other Marvel movie news, so I've got a couple bits. There's because Ghost Rider has shown up in Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., there is talk of a Ghost Rider spinoff. It would be a TV series. Again, probably no one's really sure whether it would be on ABC or on Netflix. The only thing we do know right now is that it will, thank God, not be Nicolas Cage playing him.
Yes, thank God it's right.
I have nothing against Nicolas Cage. I actually like a good portion of his movies, but he was only about, 20, 30 years too old to be playing Ghost Rider in the movies.
Yeah.
Sorry. Other Marvel movie news, and I say movie, it's a TV series. Another one, Cloak and Dagger, if you happen to be familiar with those Marvel characters, are getting a TV series.
Are they really? I've not seen that.
I think it's a great idea. I don't know.
That is.
I'm trying to figure out who has been cast in it. No one has said anything. Joe Polanski is apparently working on a script. It's supposed to come out sometime in 2018, so we've got time. Expect more rumors as they come.
Wow.
My other Marvel... Sorry?
Is this going to be part of the Netflix group?
I do not know. It looks like it's going to be on ABC.
Okay. Well, okay. Well, either way, I mean, it's still. Hopefully, there's some cross promotion, cross references. I mean, it fits in with the Defenders so well. I mean, very briefly, they're street people. I mean, that's about all I'll say to that. And I'm not saying that in a derisive way. I mean, but that's their life. They're on the streets, and that ties in so well with the Defenders and all the rest of it. So that's exciting.
Yeah.
As far as Ghost Rider, have you heard? I'm assuming they would keep Gabriel Luna, the guy who's playing Robbie Reyes now. Have you heard that? Okay, good.
That's
because he's terrific. I think he's just awesome. When they first announced they were doing Ghost Rider,
little information.
Yeah, when they first said they were doing Ghost Rider on S.H.I.E.L.D., I thought, really, is that going to work? And it's like, wow. I mean, to me, this is just, it's been terrific. And a lot of it, obviously the writing, I think is really good. But he's been great. He's been really great. So definitely on board for a Ghost Rider series. And Cloak and Dagger, how cool.
I think they were very underrated characters. They needed to be bigger than they were. They were always some of my favorites, even though we never really got into the books. It was one of those things. Cloak and Dagger is in this issue. Very cool. I will, they're guesting in the books I collect. I was always happy about that.
Nice.
Another character I actually liked, Hawkeye.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Very underrated, I think.
Jeremy Renner has said he is very likely not going to be in the next Mission Impossible movie because he's going to be spending too much time doing the Marvel Cinematic Universe crossover, Infinity War, Avengers, Captain America, Spider, Iron, Falcon Man movies.
I like him in the Mission Impossible flicks, but if he's going to do one or the other, it's like, absolutely, you got to bail on Mission Impossible.
I would prefer Hawkeye.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Speaking of bailing, apparently DreamWorks has decided that they're going to cancel the sequel to The Croods. Yeah, meanwhile, back at Hawkeye.
That's a shame. We're talking about the Marvel Universe, and we talked a little bit about it before. This is not Disney/Marvel. This is the other Marvel Universe, which is Fox. But there's a lot of talk that they're going to be rebooting X-Men, the entire series. Hugh Jackman, we talked about Logan last week. That's his last film as Wolverine. So Hugh Jackman will be done. I mean, he could always re-up, but he really doesn't seem to be interested in it. And doesn't make a lot of point. Doesn't make it much sense for him to redo Wolverine after they're doing Logan. So that's the whole point of doing that storyline. Jennifer Lawrence, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, they're all done on their contracts. So that is the X-Men universe, all the identifiable people, and they're all done. So here we are with another freaking reboot of this. Oh my God. Deadpool
just what we don't need.
I know. Deadpool, the director walked out on it for creative differences, and we talked about it. Maybe it's pretty interesting, though. Apparently, they have locked up the director of John Wick, which I thought was a terrific movie. So David Leitch, he's on board for directing the Deadpool sequel, whatever they're going to call it. The Gambit movie, that's in limbo because the director of Gambit walked out. I don't know that Gambit is like
for another one
huge deal, but I mean, and I thought this Channing Tatum is still listed to play Gambit, and not my favorite actor. That seems kind of odd casting, but then again, like we said, Hugh Jackman's only 6'4", and he's 13 inches taller than the character he's supposed to be playing. So obviously, physically, it doesn't really matter. Obviously Channing Tatum will pull people in if the movie's worth a flip, but of course the movie's got to be worth a flip. Yeah, it's like look at how well Green Lantern did with Ryan Reynolds. So wow. So Fox is, again, they're scrambling because Apocalypse didn't do that well. Pulled, I think, about 2/3 of what the previous X-Men Days of Future Past pulled. So they're really scrambling. I mean, Hugh Jackman has been the bank for them, and he's done. So hopefully, what I really hope is they will relaunch X-Men, and it will totally suck, and they will finally say, okay, fine, Marvel, help us. And they will form a partnership just like they did with Sony and Spider-Man. So, and Spider-Man Homecoming could suck. I mean, Sony could figure out a way to screw it up. Absolutely, they could. But considering that they had to sign off on Tom Holland to come in the Avengers thing, and what a great casting choice that was, and how well written that part is, I expect it to be terrific. So that would be the dream if X-Men reboot totally bites ass, and they say, fine, we're giving up.
Yeah. I had somewhere I was going, and then I lost it. No, okay, X-Men movies being done by Fox. Formerly the people who did the Star Wars movies, but now that's Disney. Which, we're back at Disney, who does the Marvel stuff now. Anyway, I'm trying to do a segue into the new Rogue One trailer, and it's just not working. Mainly because I am confused about one thing in the new trailer. It's the international trailer has come out. I don't know why they bothered doing this anymore. Having, we're releasing the U.S. trailer, and then there's an international trailer, like it's not available here on YouTube. Hello!
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
One thing that's thrown me off about the new Rogue One trailer is there's lots of scenes with the Imperial Walkers, the all-terrain armored transports, or AT-ATs. Mm-hmm. Not to be confused with AT&T, which is a completely different destructive beast on its own.
An Imperial Force, yes.
I know. That's a different empire altogether. The AT-AT in this movie, or in the trailer, are missing the middle bit. I don't know if you've seen this trailer or not yet. But there's
not the international
huge rectangle. Yeah, there's a huge rectangle cut out of the middle of them. I'm guessing that's where the troops are being transported, but at the same time, why is there a hole that you can fly an X-Wing through in the middle of your AT-AT?
Because you might need to fly an X-Wing through it.
I don't know.
Well, you have those top flight designers working for the Empire.
Yeah.
How can we protect the most destructive force in the universe? I know, we'll put a hole in it.
No, I love the if you've seen it's a video that's floating around YouTube and Facebook of people, the guy who designed the Death Star exhaust port, complaining to people who said that they made it too big. And his thing is, look, I've got a moon-sized base that creates a lot of heat. I kept the exhaust port down to less than 2 frickin' meters.
Right.
And covered it with shielding and everything. You didn't tell me space wizards were going to be shooting torpedoes through it. It's very cleverly done. Go look for it. It's on YouTube. But wait till our show is done, because otherwise you'll have to mute one of them, and it would probably be us.
Yeah,
so
don't mute
wait
us.
till after the show.
I always wondered, for about 30 years I've wondered why, instead of having to fire that shot perfectly, why Wedge didn't just have some space potato and just chuck it into the exhaust port, because that's how you blow up anything.
Exactly.
It's so fucking easy. Really? Of course, then,
Space banana
then there's a
in the
different
tailpipe.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Oh, wait a minute. That's a different show. That's a totally different show.
Well, it was done by Fox, but I'm sure Disney will be picking it up soon. Yeah. See?
I'm sure they will.
Wasn't expecting that for you.
As they continue their march to taking over the world of entertainment. And my God, they are. They're crazy.
But
haven't mentioned space. Yes, continue.
Well, I was thinking, while we're in space, did you want to mention that other film you watched this week?
Yes, that's exactly where I was going. Oh, sad mind.
I figured it was. I just kind of tripped over our segue. Damn gyroscope's not working right.
I saw a movie called Arrival. Not The Arrival, Arrival. There's been a lot of press about it. Basically, it's a story of people trying to figure there's an alien arrival, and possibly the fate of all humanity rests on figuring out how to communicate with this new force and determine, are they here for good, are they here for evil, what do they want? And actually, if you tune into 60 Minutes tonight, you'll see them talk to Donald Trump. But in this case, it's actually in the movie. It's actually 12 separate ships that show up on Earth, and again, they're trying to communicate and figure out. It's a very. Last week we talked about a few years back. There were some very adult, high-level, high-concept films, Limitless, The Source Code, and Adjustment Bureau, which were all very smart, low explosions. Well, Source Code actually has tons of explosions, but it's really the same one over and over, which is okay. But I mean, they're thinking person's films. You've got to pay attention. You got to watch what's happening, and they all had interesting messages. And Arrival fits in with those perfectly. Amy Adams plays a linguist, and she's assigned to figure out, okay, well, we now got to communicate with these aliens. Why are they here? Because we're kind of scared because we got these ships that look like flying saucers tilted up on their end, and they look like they're about 600 feet long. And they're 12 different places around the world. They haven't made any threats or anything like that. But governments being governments, some governments think, oh, they're going to be hostile, so we need to get on their ass right away and do something about them, even though they haven't done a damn thing to us. So it's this race trying to figure out how to communicate to them. And then it gets deeper and deeper into how she got there, why she's there, flashes back to her family life, all ties in together at the end. Very, very good movie. She's going to get a nomination, absolutely. Hawkeye is in the film, which is nice. He doesn't fire off any arrows, but he talks science geeky because he's a mathematician. He's on the team to communicate with the aliens. Good movie. There really aren't a lot of special effects. It's not that kind of movie. Don't have to be a lot of special effects. What's done is terrific. The director is a French-Canadian, and I'm going to butcher his name, Denis Villeneuve. Directed Prisoners, which came out a few years ago with Hugh Jackman, which is a great movie, and Sicario, which just came out last year, a really good movie. So he dives into science fiction, and definitely go see Arrival. Very, very good movie. If you want to see something where a lot of shit blows up, there's one explosion, and it's not a huge one, so you're going to be disappointed. But if you want to see something thoughtful and entertaining that has a message about how important it is to communicate and how important it is to trust, go see Arrival.
I saw an interview with Jeremy Renner when he was doing the press junket for that movie. Mm-hmm. And if you're really into science, he says that a lot of times when you have a script and they do a lot of the science stuff, they say, go ahead and make up some numbers and do whatever you want for that. But he said, not with this movie, because he said somewhere off screen was someone telling him specifically what the numbers exactly are for absolutely everything. So
that's awesome.
They said they tried to make the science as absolutely accurate as possible. Which I thought, well, if you're going to go through the trouble, that's kind of cool.
It is cool, and there's a reason for that, because initially you might think, well, what's the difference? Because people aren't going to pick up on it, and if a few scientists hear it, and it's like, who cares? Screw them. But it does tie into, it helps the actors get into the character. It's my daughter, she's a movie nut, my son is too, but we were talking about Lord of the Rings, and how much detail they put into the armor for the extras. And it wasn't just like cardboard crap. I mean, they were in all this armor, thousands of pieces of armor were handcrafted. And for the major characters, they were tailored to the people, and they would be like engraved with special symbols and things like that for that specific actor. So, and again, it's so they could buy into their screen life. And it's the same thing with this. I mean, it does make a difference. Absolutely makes a difference. That kind of attention to detail, whether you know it's there or not, the actors do. And
realism. What a concept.
Yeah, imagine that.
And
realism.
Sorry?
I was just going to say realism in fantastic films is critical, because that's how you buy into this world that doesn't exist, because they sell it to you. If they don't believe it, you're not going to believe it either. And then you're watching a freaking Fox movie, another version of Fantastic Four. So anyway, you were saying, Rob?
I wanted to ask you, how does this movie compare to, and this is what it kind of sounds like it could be to me, Close Encounters of the Third Kind?
Yeah, it's similar, because, of course, they're trying to communicate and they're trying to figure out what's going on. The difference is the threat, and the threat is not from the aliens. The threat is from governments in the world that think they're a threat, and that's what has created the deadline. So that's what's going on, and it's a theme more about distrust. To me, Close Encounters of the Third Kind is kind of about just a sense of wonder, in addition to, oh wow, cool aliens, and they're pretty. Their ships are anyway, and whereas this is much more about, man, if you don't talk to each other, even if you're aliens and humans, you're screwed, and that's what it's really about. It would be a really good double feature though with Close Encounters, because they are kind of similar themes.
Also wanted to ask you this because it's in the show notes. You wanted to mention the next movie from The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock. Moana is coming out in 2 weeks, I believe, which is the next Disney animated film. And oh my God, this movie looks so damn good, and it's got The Rock, so you know it's going to be fun. After that, he's got Jumanji. Well, his next film. Nope. Jumanji,
and I didn't know you were bringing this up. This was the last note bit I had. Jumanji has been delayed.
Okay.
For almost a year, I think.
Well, perhaps it's the next thing up then is, instead of Jumanji, is this, Rampage.
Right.
And initially I thought, okay, Rampage, is, it sounds like it's like he's doing maybe the Walking Tall thing or something like that, like he'd rebooted that. No, it's Rampage, the 8-bit video game where you're playing a monster and you're walking around and you're destroying cities. That is now a movie starring The Rock. It's like, oh my God.
How?
But I will say this: if anyone is going to star in a movie based on a Nintendo video game, I buy The Rock.
It was an arcade game. I remember playing that.
Oh my God!
And I spent Oak Ridge flashbacks. I remember playing that at whatever Family Rec or Joker's was called.
Yeah.
For those of you not familiar with Oak Ridge, we grew up in roughly the same town in one place that had one video arcade that couldn't figure out what it wanted to be called. It was either Family Recreation or Joker's. It would alternate every year.
Yeah.
I think. Anyway, I remember playing that game there, and I've seen that they were making a movie out of it. Then I saw they attached The Rock to it, and I thought, how? There's no plot to that. There's no plot to that game.
Well, I don't know. I mean, if you can make a movie about Angry Birds and Battleship, you can make a movie about anything. Well, there's a plot to Rampage. I mean, monsters eat people and crush cities until they run out of energy.
And then they turn back into people and walk off screen covering their naughty bits because they're naked, because they don't fit in their clothes anymore.
And they're going to do that to The Rock. They're going to do that to The Rock. And some monster is going to destroy a building, and he's going to be in a bathtub that's 20 feet up in the air with nothing but the pipe holding it up in the air. They're going to put all that crap in there. My one big hope about Rampage is that the only thing they'll accept to get in is quarters. That would be fantastic. You got to pay in quarters to get into the movie.
There's a good way of doing it.
Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, when I saw that, it's like, oh my, you're serious.
See, the thing is, we've just thrown off everybody who's still in high school and listening to the show. Video games used to cost $0.25, and you had to go somewhere to play them?
And what are quarters? Probably they don't know what that is either. Yeah, actually, you take your Square reader and you swipe it, and anyway. That's so weird. Before we go, I guess we should mention one more thing.
Okay.
Unless you have something else. Power of the Daleks is what I'm going to talk about. And you should talk about it because you're much more up on it.
Power of the Daleks. They're remaking a Doctor Who episode back from when Patrick Troughton was the Doctor. Now, he's the guy who played, if you're not familiar with Doctor Who, you can look it up. I'm doing a short version because we're running out of show. Patrick Troughton was the second actor to play the Doctor. And the reason they're remaking this episode is there are a lot of episodes that were destroyed.
Right.
From the William Hartnell, who was the first Doctor, a lot of Patrick Troughton, and the first few of John Pertwee were kept in a vault at the BBC, and that vault caught fire, and a lot of stuff from that era was lost, including these Doctor Who episodes. Now, for some reason, the audio was kept in a separate vault, and that's fine. So they've got the original audio. What they don't have is video. So what they've done with this particular episode is recreate it in kind of an animated form, but using the original sound that they still had recorded. So that's one way. And I think it's going to be interesting to see. But there's another way we might be able to see this episode someday. Because Doctor Who is a big, if you don't know for some reason, because you live under a rock, I suppose, Doctor Who is a huge science fiction show. And when the BBC originally aired it, because this was about the same time, during the space race, when Russia versus the U.S., who's going to get to the moon first, they decided to broadcast the show into space. Now, about 10 years ago, they started picking up a signal from space. The Doctor Who episodes they shot out there bounced off something and have come back. So they've been recording them. They went, it's a signal from space. Maybe it's aliens. Oh, crap, it's something we sent out. But
it is an alien. It's Doctor Who.
We don't have. Yeah.
That is insane. I have not heard that. You're lying, aren't you?
They're trying to... No, I read it on CNN, which I'm considering to be a somewhat credible news source at least 10 years ago. I'm not sure how much of the episodes they've got, how much they're getting, if they're actually going to be able to finally recreate them, remaster them, and maybe even release them someday. I think that'll be cool. But until then, what they've done with this animated episode looks like it's going to be very cool.
Yeah, the clips I've seen, it looks fantastic. It's in black and white because the show was in black and white at that point. It's going to be released at theaters tomorrow. It also premieres on BBC America this coming Saturday, the 19th. And you can stream it on bbcamerica.com after that. It's only 6 parts, and Rob, you said it was, 24 minutes per episode, roughly?
It's 20-something minutes per part.
Right. So,
but if you throw commercials in, that'll make it 40 minutes. Whatever.
Yeah, big deal. So I'm so looking forward to it. I think that's just fantastic news. And I had not heard that Doctor Who was coming back to us from space. How appropriate is that? That is like the coolest thing ever.
I think it's brilliant.
Oh, my God, that is. We'll close out. We're not even talking about box office. Doctor Strange made a hell of a lot of money again. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah. Other shows on the network, as far as I've heard, I've not heard from Jed yet, but I expect there will be a review of UFC 205, which is a fantastic card. Tomorrow, that'll be Fist Fight Fan Club with Jed Michoud. Tuesday night, it will be the Cover 32 Seahawks show with Kevin Daggett and this guy we know named Lee. He's not worth listening to, but he is on the show. Wednesday is Late Night Parents with Ted Hicks. Thursday, NBA Full Court Press, not that I can talk, with Danny Thompson. It's not Full Court Press. That would be very weird. That would be like a sandwich show, but this is about the NBA. Earnestly Speaking with AJ Christian is on Fridays. Saturday, we got our baseball thing that Ted, which is me, and Lee do. Look at me reading the copy. I'm brilliant. I'm like a local person. Actually, this is going to be a different thing. We are going to do a solid Rob Gordon, not a Rob Steele, but a solid Rob Gordon episode. So it's just going to be a bunch of lists. And, of course, Rob has some interesting podcasts that he does. Does a little acting on the side.
Just the one, the 2 Pages of Mystery. If you've ever written a short story, preferably a mystery, and like to get it published, go to 2pagesofmystery.com. I will not only publish a story for you, I will turn it into an audiobook and put it on a podcast. Yes, there are rules, but there's not very many. So go to 2pagesofmystery.com. Number 2, Pages of Mystery uses letters. Check it out. The new show comes out every night, Wednesday at midnight, because that's when good mysteries come out.
And I'm going to throw in just a little plug for Rob. Rob is currently paying $2 a word. That's a total lie. I believe we're done.
That is. Yes, we are. And on that blatant
word?
Lie.
I guess it's always good to end on a blatant lie, right? We're out of here.
Absolutely.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for tonight.
Man, that's a real shame when folks be throwing away a perfectly good white boy like that.
Rose? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
And like that, he's gone.
I said come back tomorrow!
Record better audio anywhere with Motive digital microphones from Shure. Easy-to-use options like the MV88 plug directly into your phone or computer and include a free app. Create studio-quality sound for podcasts, music, and videos. Visit Shure.com to learn more.
Okay, class, let's go!
Whoa, we're starting already? Step to the left, no to the right. Oh, now back. How are they lunging like that? Turn around? How did I let Jen convince me to come here? Wait, now do what? How are they doing that? You know what? I'm just going to pretend I know what I'm doing in this class and have fun.
Fearless is being the only newbie in class. That's the power of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Federal Employee Program. Learn more about our healthy benefits, tools, and wellness programs at fepblue.org/getactive.